He'll make some things happen down the line in the future, but we'll never look at him the same after that destruction. Not to say that we won't respect him, but we'll never look at him the same.
Now, everybody know Tank, kind of like you say, they love him too.
It's a dirty game. It's a dirty game. You got biased people, unfair people.
Stephen A. Smith has strongly criticized Gervonta Davis over rigging allegations, calling out the controversy surrounding his fight. He questioned the judging, raised concerns about fairness, and suggested that Davis should prove himself by facing Lamont Roach in a rematch.
We can debate the top fighter in the world pound for pound. We can do that. What we cannot do is debate who's the most exciting fighter, who's the biggest box office attraction in boxing. That would happen to be Gervonta Davis. We just got to accept it. I think that Frank Martin is a talented fighter. He'll make some things happen down the line in the future, but we'll never look at him the same after that destruction. Not to say that we won't respect him, but we'll never look at him the same because he got destroyed by Gervonta Davis. And that's no shame, that's no slouch, but damn, still in all, if you get destroyed, you get destroyed. Gervonta Davis is the #1 box office attraction. Who I want to see him against next is Shakur Stevenson. I don't want to see him against Devin Haney because Devin Haney has proven to me that he's not a good punch taker. I want to see Gervonta Davis in the ring with somebody perceived as having enough power to put him on the canvas too. That's what I want to see.
Coach Bernie shared his thoughts on the fight, saying Gervonta Davis didn't defend his title the way a champion should. He noted that Lamont Roach showed more urgency and heart, while Davis seemed to just go through the motions. Bernie also pointed out that with Davis's reputation and skills, the fight shouldn't have ended the way it did. Instead, he believes Davis should have made a strong statement in the ring rather than leaving fans with doubts.
Exactly. He's the champion. He got to defend his title. He got to defend his title. He like I said, they both was looking at each other. And then finally, after look, Tank will be the one to throw the first punch. He felt like he wanted to retain his title. Lamont Roach felt like he was just happy to be there and get the success. He wasn't trying to take the title. He wasn't trying to take the title. And I'm saying that even from the last round, just even the last round, the final 20, 30 seconds of the last round, he wasn't throwing no punches. He looked at him and got caught with a jab. You can't close the show with a guy like that, with a guy like Tank Davis like that. Now, if he'd have had a knockdown or something, like a real knockdown or something, maybe he feeling, but you can't stop until the bell ends. You can't, even if you're being active and slipping and sliding and something, he just standing there looking at him. I don't know. I didn't understand that. I don't understand why fighters sit there and look at each other for a long time. Change the angle. Keep a rhythm in your way. Snap a jab. Do a feint. Ain't no need of you standing there looking at no man for 20 seconds in a fight. That don't make sense. But so I think, like I say, Lamont Roach, he will be kicking himself in the ass that he didn't do more, but grateful that he did enough.
Joe Rogan criticized how the rules were applied in the Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach fight, saying they felt more like they were written by lawyers than boxing officials, suggesting they were designed to favor Davis. At the same time, he praised Roach's boxing skills, saying he was genuinely impressed by his performance. Rogan also stated that if the knockdown had been officially counted, Roach would have won the fight.
If the return strike has any other result, the match result stands. That's crazy. So you can get KO'd, you get finished, they give you 2 minutes to come back, and if you could knock that guy out, then it's a draw.
They also haven't used the rule yet.
So you go knockout for knockout.
Boy, that rule looks like it's written by lawyers, doesn't it? Doesn't that rule look written by lawyers? So find out what's happening, because I think they were going to announce something today about Lamont Roach, Gervonta Davis decision on the knockdown. It was a very good fight, though. Lamont Roach is very good. I was really impressed because Tank is really nasty. Tank is so fucking powerful. Yeah. He's so vicious. Like his one-punch power at 135 is like nobody else's in the division. Like the way he starches people is crazy. Exactly. He gets so much torque and power into his punches, and he's so fast that he covers ground and his uppercuts, they're just fucking devastating. So, like, for Lamont Roach, not just to survive, but, you know,
Do some damage.
to do damage and
Put him on the knee.
basically bring it to a draw, which if they do change this because of that knee, it becomes a victory. I think it should be a victory for him, and I think they should do a rematch.
100%.
Everybody saw it. You can't get around what everybody saw. Look, it wasn't a legit knockdown like he hurt Tank. Tank did have some shit in his eyes, but what are you doing putting shit in your hair when you have a world title fight? That's crazy.
And no one want to hear about it in the middle of a fight day.
Many pro boxers and analysts reacted with shock and disappointment to the fight's outcome, with some calling it one of the most controversial decisions in recent boxing history. Many argued that the referees and judges failed to apply the rules correctly, saying decisions like this hurt the sport's credibility. The debate over whether Davis deserved the draw or if Roach was robbed continues to grow, with both fighters and fans voicing their frustration over the ruling.
Gervonta Tank Davis says he took a knee because he got his hair done a few days ago and something dripped into his eyes. Ryan Garcia said that Lamont Roach won that fight. And he continues with, not calling that knockdown is the most wild thing I've ever seen in boxing. That type of stuff makes boxing look bad. And then says, crazy shit, see y'all May 2nd. Terrence Crawford said they robbed that boy and it's crazy. Roach won and that should have been called the knockdown, let's see what happens. Devin Haney says, I was waiting for the backflip. Even Turki Alashi had something to say about the fight. He said, if you charge people $80 per pay-per-view, you must give them a good card with good production. What are your thoughts? Then Terrence Crawford continues with, some of y'all need to watch Mayweather versus Hernandez and see Mayweather takes a knee because he hurt his hand and it was called a knockdown, not from a punch either. He says, I've never seen someone take a knee and they don't count it as a knockdown. Must have forgot the rules for tonight. And Shakur Stevenson is willing to fight Lamont Roach. But in your honest thoughts, who do you think should have won this fight? Do you believe with the decision as a draw? Or do you think Lamont Roach should have won that fight?
After the fight, referee Steve Willis was asked why he ruled the match a draw and didn't count the knee as a knockdown. However, instead of explaining, he refused to comment. His silence has only added to speculation that favoritism may have played a role in the decision. Now, both fans and analysts are questioning whether Davis was given an unfair advantage throughout the fight.
What you was thinking when Tank did that when he took the knee? What you was thinking when he took the knee? I can't speak on that. Can't speak on that? Can't speak on that. He did some bullshit though? I can't speak on that. You have no personal opinion, nothing? Yeah.
Sports analysts Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp reviewed the fight and agreed that Lamont Roach had done enough to win. While they acknowledged that Gervonta Davis landed some clean, powerful shots, they pointed out that Roach responded with equal, if not harder, punches. In their view, Roach's resilience and ability to push Davis to the limit should have secured him the victory instead of a controversial draw. Meanwhile, boxing experts have been analyzing the moment Davis took a knee, comparing it to past cases where fighters voluntarily went down. In previous instances, when a fighter kneeled without being knocked down by a punch, it was ruled an official knockdown. This comparison has sparked further debate about why the referee didn't make the same call for Davis.
Boom, that lands, and then two jabs after that. And you see a jab on the eye. Tank Davis turns to the referee and kneels. Gentlemen, here in studio, fairly clear that knee touches, that's a knockdown. I don't know how else you can see it. And when people talk about the delay, well, there's a delay. We've seen much worse delay, especially on body shots. Someone takes a body shot, backs up, and it's several seconds, then they take a knee. And people take knees for all sorts of reasons. Sometimes you're under assault and you need a break. Yeah. It's all a knockdown.
Jimmy, we've seen, if I think of fights in the past where voluntary knees have happened, you know, off of not one single moment or one single punch. You think of Mayweather against Carlos Famoso Hernandez, when he lands the punch and turns his back and takes a knee, he gets counted. You think of Miguel Cotto against Antonio Margarito, where, you know, it was under duress and he just took that knee. And of course, my compadre right here, Chris Algieri against Ruslan Provodnikov as well. It wasn't a particular shot. You feel something, you feel discomfort, you take a knee. All those times, there's a count, dude. I mean, and I'll tell you what, Steve Willis also knew there was a count because he started counting and then stopped.
Yeah, we'll get to it. There's more than one pillar of this defense for Lamont Roach Jr., but the first one's the knockdown, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of experts on the panel today. I'm going to speak from a fighter standpoint, just like you did, Champ. And you can argue whether that right hand landed clean or if it landed hard or how hard those jabs were. It doesn't matter. Champ, when you mentioned when I took that knee against Ruslan Pavanakov, I actually didn't get hit. I was still recovering from the last knockdown where my orbital was damaged, my eye was damaged, my vision was impaired. I gave ground so I would keep my opponent off me, and I still couldn't see, so I took a knee.
Jack Rice, a well-respected boxing referee, shared his thoughts on the fight, stating that while referees have some discretion, they must apply the rules consistently. He stressed that it's their responsibility to enforce rules on knockdowns, fouls, and unsportsmanlike conduct. Rice's comments suggest that the fight may not have been officiated in accordance with standard boxing regulations.
Let me just put out to you guys 3 rules of what a referee has to follow. First of all, the referee is the sole arbiter, the only person able to determine whether to stop a fight or not, and anything else that happens in a ring. The second is part of his ability to do things when fouls occur. If a boxer fouls or acts in an unsportsmanlike manner during the bout or in between rounds, the referee should admonish or disqualify the offending boxer, depending upon the severity of the offense. And number 3, talks about penalizing and points. While warnings are generally preferred, the severity of a foul can warrant the immediate point deduction without any prior warnings. So now what gives a referee the ability to call what you guys are talking about as a knockdown, I don't know if you guys know, maybe you can tell me, if not, I'll surely tell you. Do you guys know what the description of a legal knockdown is?
Bazi Ennis, another respected figure in boxing, pointed out an unusual moment in the fight, noting that referee Steve Willis initially began counting when Gervonta Davis took a knee, but then suddenly stopped. This inconsistency has added to suspicions about the referee's actions. Ennis also recognized Davis's star power and influence in the sport, suggesting that his status as a major draw may have played a role in the controversial decision.
Do you think? A very, very controversial fight this past Saturday. Gervonta Davis, Lamont Roach, draw, and the knee. But we'll start with just the fight. Who did you have winning? Because I've been seeing mixed reviews.
Well, listen, it was a good fight, man. You know what I mean? And Wichicombe came to fight. Lamont came to fight. They know each other. This is what I tell people. It wasn't going to be no easy fight. You know what I mean? And I was telling everybody that. Now they understand what I was saying. Them guys knew each other. Plus, they probably used to spar each other. Matter of fact, they did. Used to spar each other back in the day. So they knew each other, man. And amateurs and pro fights is not the same. You know what I mean? We beat him 2 times in the amateur. But this time, Lamont was ready, man. He was ready. He was in shape. He took tank punches, you know what I mean? And they was going back and forth, you know what I mean? And I thought it was a real close fight, but I thought Lamont edged it.
Were you surprised that Lamont backed Tank up and was winning in exchanges? Because Tank is looked at as probably the biggest puncher in boxing.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised because, like I said, when he came out, the first time he came out using his jab and like he was backing him up. But Tank fight that way a lot anyway. He fight like that anyway. He'll move around. You can back him up all you want. And Tank set them traps, man. He set them traps. So, the traps that he was trying to set, Wichicombe was prepared for the trap. You know what I mean? He was prepared for the trap because he would counter and Lamont would counter right back. You know what I mean? So it was a great fight, man. Can't take nothing away from neither one of them.
Now, as far as the knee goes, you've been in boxing for over 40 years.
Over 40 years. Yeah.
Have you ever seen anything like that? A guy takes a knee?
No. Now, that's something I didn't expect him to do. You know what I mean? He took the knee, you know what I mean? And then ran to the corner and got his eyes wiped out.
Boxing analyst Paulie Malignaggi shared his breakdown of the fight, saying that while the draw wasn't the worst decision, it wasn't the right one either. He firmly believed that if the knee had been correctly ruled as a knockdown, Roach would have won by a single point. Malignaggi even compared the incident to Floyd Mayweather's fight against Carlos Hernandez, where Mayweather took a knee due to a hand injury and was given a standing count. This comparison further highlights the inconsistency in how the rules were applied in the Davis versus Roach fight.
And honestly backed up Gervonta Davis a lot. Ultimately, I don't think the draw is the worst decision in the world. I think, obviously Lamont overperformed here, or at least the look is that he overperformed. But I'll tell you where robbery can come into play. 2 scorecards were even. There's a knockdown not given to Lamont Roach. Gervonta took a knee on his own. Let's remember when Mayweather did this against Carlos Famoso Hernandez years ago when his hand hurt, the referee counted him. So that was counted as a knockdown. Steve Willis is supposed to count that as a knockdown. And if Steve Willis counts that as a knockdown, Lamont wins by 1 point on 2 scorecards. And that knee that Gervonta Davis took ends up becoming the difference on the scorecards. I don't think a draw is the worst result in the world. I will say this.
Gervonta Davis's trainer responded to the controversy, insisting that Davis did nothing wrong by taking a knee. He dismissed claims that it should have been counted as a knockdown, arguing that Davis was still in control of the fight. However, many fans and analysts disagree, seeing the trainer's defense as an attempt to justify what they believe was a clear mistake.
Like when it came down to game planning for this fight,
No, I didn't do any of the game planning.
Oh,
why? I look for hurt spots, man. You always hear somebody say a fighter got a good chin. Oh, he got a good chin. If you got a good chin, okay, let's go ahead. Let's touch this. The chin ain't the only thing that can get you out of there. There's other things you can do and then go back to the chin. I won't go into details, but I look at shit different from a lot of people, man. You know what I'm saying? If you got a fighter that listens, he's gonna be a hell of a fighter if he listens to what I tell him,
Boxing analyst Kevin Iole broke down the 9th round incident, highlighting its importance in deciding the fight's outcome. He noted that in most cases, a moment like that would have been ruled a knockdown. While he acknowledged that the fight was close and could be debated, he emphasized that the referee's handling of that key moment directly influenced the final result.
Because of referee Steve Willis, nobody could have seen that coming. But a call by the referee in the 9th round was the difference in the fight, and that is really unfortunate. You can make an argument. Let's throw the 9th round controversy aside for a split second. You can make an argument on who you thought won the fight because the fight was very close. I had it 115-113 for Lamont Roach. One of the judges, Eric Marlinsky, scored it 115-113 for Tank Davis. Glenn Feldman and Steve Weisfeld had it 114-114. It was a close fight, and the first half of the fight was dreadful. And that's really, I think, where the fight was decided because look at the first round. I have the CompuBox stats up in front of me. Roach landed 3 punches, Davis landed 1. In round 2, Davis landed 3 punches, Roach landed 4. In round 3, Davis landed 8 punches, Roach landed 7. There wasn't a lot going on in those rounds, so I can understand how, one person may have thought Davis won that round, another person thought that Roach won it, and so those rounds count when we're getting to the end, and we remember the action that occurred at the end of the fight. The fight really picked up in about round 7, and I thought it was kind of scintillating down the stretch. Not the best fight I ever saw, but you see this 16-1 underdog, Lamont Roach, who's moving up from super featherweight to lightweight to fight Tank Davis. And he's standing there toe-to-toe, giving as good as he got throughout the entire fight. I thought Davis got buzzed a couple of times in the fight. You never saw Roach wobble. You never saw him look like he was in danger of going down. You never looked and said, hey, he's hurt at this point. Here's an opportunity for Tank. Tank did a lot better in the second half of the fight. But a bizarre incident happens in round 9. Davis takes a knee. and everybody's going like, what is going on?
The controversy surrounding the fight has outraged boxing fans, with many accusing the judges of blatant favoritism toward Gervonta Davis. Fans have flooded social media with frustration, calling the decision a robbery. Boxing analyst Benny W. voiced his concerns about the judging, questioning why the knee wasn't considered in the scoring. He tweeted, "From a true boxer's perspective, how did the judges not count the knee as a knockdown?" Former unified lightweight champion George Kambosos Jr. also weighed in, specifically criticizing how the referee handled the knee incident. He stated that in professional boxing, a fighter cannot take a knee without it being ruled a knockdown. Kambosos believes the referee's failure to enforce this rule raises serious doubts about the fight's integrity.
Obviously, Lamont started giving him some work, and he looked good, man. I got to give respect to Lamont Roach. He proved a lot of guys wrong. I think he shocked Tank a lot with what he was able to bring. And again, we saw the controversy with the knee. To me, that's a knockdown. You can't just take a knee and decide to, go to your corner and get your face wiped. So, if that's a 10-8 round, Lamont wins the fight. So it's unfortunate, but that's the fight game. Hopefully they'll do it again and he gets paid, what he's worth.
Have you ever seen anything like that in boxing before? A guy sort of just voluntarily.
We've seen Floyd take a knee and be put on the count. We've seen Miguel Cotto, take a knee, obviously into his corner, be put on the count. If we're allowed to start taking knees and run to our corners, well, I'm gonna start doing it too. If I as soon as I feel something, everyone will start to do it. But it's just not right. You're a warrior. Doesn't matter if there's grease in your eye, a bit of gel in your eye, or whatever excuse you want to use. I've been through wars where there's blood pouring in my eyes. In the Lomachenko fight, blood was pouring. I'm wiping it away. We've seen it with other fighters. So we don't get opportunities just to take a knee, go to our corner, wipe us up, and might as well have a coffee and have a laugh and then get back to action. It doesn't work that way.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates, and we'll see you next time.